Let's talk a little bit about the things going on around the world of Warcraft today. Here we go. The weekly bonus event is here. If you are somebody who likes loot but hates Mythic Plus, I'm going to tell you, get in there and do it anyways this week. Because there is, some good worth behind the heroic Amir Drasil cache. Yeah, so you got to get in and do 4 Mythic difficulty or higher dungeons. So that includes a Mythic Zero. So if you don't like doing Mythic dungeons, but you think you can pull off some Mythic Zeros, just get them done. Because this cache, in fact, will of course reward you with heroic raid level items. And right now that's still very relevant for a lot of us. So make sure you pick up the quest in your local, Valdrakken city and get ready to get it done. Get that cache, get that heroic loot. Loot is loot, people. Sometimes you gotta do things you don't want to do, but it's alright. Moving on, if you got the Kragwar's Executor trading post item, evidently Blizzard had put it out for too much. I guess the item costed too much, so they're reducing the cost, and they're also working on a way to refund people who had already bought it. I'm not going to lie, if I was a Zandalari troll, I totally would have bought this thing. This thing is Zandalari written all over it. I mean, look at that. Look at those shoulders, that helm, and that wonderful cock fabric. You got to get it if you are Zandalari, and if you already did, you will be refunded for the item. It's now supposed to be 450 traders tender. It was 500 originally, so there you go. Moving on to a very interesting topic. The Fyrakk Legendary. Now, you guys know I play Blood DK. So this Legendary is very important to me. My DPS is complete shit. It basically has been complete shit since I had to get rid of the gavel back in the Shadowlands days. That was the last time. That was the peak of Blood DK DPS. Since then, we've been riding low. We heal like mofos, okay? We are ultimate healers. But in terms of DPS, it's been lacking. And I've been telling you guys this whole time, like, wait till I get my Legendary. Wait till I get my Legendary. Yeah, I am a scuffed DK. Exactly, Moshi. So, is it going to be worth it, though? The numbers are in, and I guess it's a bit underwhelming, to say the least. So, yeah, since Mythic, Race to World First was done, it enabled people to start to get the Fyrakk, the Fyr'alath, the Dream Renderer, Legendary. If you don't know, it's a 2-headed axe, which means you're going to have, Paladins, Ret Pallies using it, you're going to have DKs using it, and you're going to have Warriors using it. And it's tough to get. There's bad luck protection built in, so you got to loot it from Fyrakk. You can get it on normal difficulty. I'm still not sure if you can get an LFR, but you can get it on normal, heroic, and mythic, of course. And not only do you have to loot the item, you have to go through this entire process to craft it, essentially. And that could take days beyond the freaking months that it took you to even loot the item. So there's a lot going into this weapon. Has Blizzard made it worth it? Well, in order to determine that, we got to look at the 2 abilities that it has. So there's the Mark of Fyr'alath, which is a passive dot damage. So it applies a dot, it continues to apply this dot. As of right now, haste and crit do not affect this dot, which kind of renders it, a little less amazing than usual. But who knows, that could be fixed later on. It would ultimately make this dot so much better than it currently is. And the last one is the Rage of Fyr'alath. It is a channeled ability, you got to click it. It's a charge that essentially pops all the dots that you currently had placed on through this passive dot and does some damage, right? And it has a cool animation to it. We could check it out right here. This is how the charge works.
Hey.
Essentially, you click the weapon, boom, and it does this like 3-second, channel crash thing, whatever. Okay? Mind you, this channel thing that it does roots you in place. You cannot move while this whole, animation is going on. So as a tank, as somebody, who has a rotation, is already a Death Knight that essentially can't do shit when it comes to moving around, that's important to know. This thing roots you for 3 seconds. Yeah, 3-second charge, channel, and die. Exactly. So is it worth it? Well, you can read this article more. I'll link it in the chat if you're interested in it. But they go through, all the abilities and the numbers, and they break it down. And essentially, all of this, comes out to, if you put the dots on and you do the charge perfectly timed and all that stuff, you're essentially going to end up with what is a 3 to 6% damage increase on single target. Now, it could be a bit more in AoE because you can apply multiple dots, at once across a bunch of targets. But 3 to 6% damage increase is not that much when you consider there are a lot of current weapons you can get with different abilities on them that'll give you, you know, close to a 5% increase. So, sorry, the old legendary was around 5% for Devastation Evokers, and these items can give you around a 3 to 4% increase. So it's not that much more for all the work that goes into it and the difficulty of its loot. You would expect an item that could take months to get, has built-in bad luck protection, and could take another couple days to even craft, not to mention shit's pay to win if you gotta, you know, pay to actually have it crafted because you can't loot this items yourself. You can't go out, you don't have the time to go and get all that shit. It doesn't really give the boost that I think a lot of people were expecting it to give. So, all in all, you know, the article ends up summarizing it by saying, yes, it's going to give you, you know, your little boost to DPS. But when Blizzard is putting a legendary weapon in, not to mention a legendary weapon that requires crafting beyond the fact that you are just looting it, it should actually be legendary in its effects. There should be a bigger boost. There should be a bigger, you know, DPS push, and it should just be overall, you know, more epic. But it is what it is. You know, if you really want to push and min-max and do all that stuff and you just want to be big-dicked, you're still going to have to go get it. You're still going to do it, even though it's 5 to 6%. So, there it is. Slightly underwhelming, slightly saddening. But the Fyrakk Legendary. Speaking of DPS, the new charts are out. Yes, week 3 of Season 3 is here. The triple, the double 3. Yeah, so let's check out the numbers and see who is truly at the top of the DPS charts right now. Sam, you need help? Can you get Sam? You are a DK after all. Yeah, I know. When it comes to DPS, DKs are just lacking these days. I really thought the Legendary was going to put me up there. And if unfortunately it doesn't. Let's check out the charts. Overall damage. Rogues have been doing really well so far in Season 3. You got all 3 specs sitting up here, and what is this? The, what is this, top 6 here? Yeah, in the top 6, you have 3 specs that are rogue specs. So rogues are doing really well. Hunters are doing well. Shamans are actually finally, you know, shamans have been getting love and become very viable again in raiding. So it's nice to see shamans back up there again. Where is the first warlock spec? Wow, Demo Warlock. Overall damage. This is probably the lowest I've ever seen the first warlock spec on this chart. That's pretty darn low. Mages are here. DK damage overall is kind of low. Now, I mean, you remember Unholy was at the top, but we'll see what single target looks like in a moment. Evoker is down here at the bottom, and Windwalker Monk totally getting shit on. Very interesting. I thought, you know, looking at this again, a lot of these probably don't have the legend. Ret Pally. Very interesting to see how these will look once the legendary kick. Here it is. Single target, the real one that matters for rating. Again, ass rogue, sub-titty rogue. I mean, rogues are just taking the top here. Very, very, you know, they're pumping hard. Beast Mastery, Havoc Demon Hunter, Enhancement Shaman. You got your Druid specs here. Again, where the hell? Oh my god. Is this really the top? Demo Warlock is a middle tier. Is a mid-tier DPS spec now? What is this? Yeah, definitely Augmentation Evoker should always be taken with a grain of salt because it pumps everybody else up. So there is better utility for Augmentation Evoker. That's why their DPS numbers don't necessarily matter as much. Unholy DK, wow. How the mighty have fallen. Unholy was the top for the first 2 seasons. Man, there has been a complete reversal here. It looks like Rogue, Hunter, and Demon Hunter are now your top builds, along with enhancement, along with Shamans. Wow. Evokers down here. Windwalker Monk. I don't know. Blizzard just doesn't like them. They just don't want you to play them. Ret Pally's here. Mages are getting shit on too. Jesus. There's been a lot of movement in this chart. Let's see who the big movers are. Here they are. Marksmanship Hunter is up 19 spots on the chart. What the hell happened to them? They get a big buff or something? Jeez. Demo Hunter is absolutely cracked right now. Yeah, I saw that. And who's the biggest mover down? Unholy DK. The former king. No king rules forever, my son. Unholy DK down 11 spots. Jesus. My gosh. Well, boys, you know, there's always a chance that skill could make up for the gaps. It is what it is. These are the charts. These are the numbers. And this is the end of our news segment.